Memories of matches with Bryan Clark.
Bryan, I love Bryan. Bryan's a good guy. I wish that I was still in contact with him. I think he's out in Arizona now or something like that. But we had good matches. My only negative thing I would say, which is just my personal opinion, was Bryan was such a big guy. Obviously, that I always tried to tell him, look, Bryan, you're a monster, man. I mean, you're Godzilla. Don't wrestle, like your average man, And he was so talented, so athletic. I had to fight him all the time on doing too many big moves, And I was just like, man, I mean, if you keep hitting me with all this big stuff, I don't look weak. I look strong because you're not beating me, and so. But we would find common ground, and the one thing was we did the Great American Bash pay-per-view, and which is only Terry Taylor was booking at the time, and or on the booking committee, and it's the only match that Eric ever, when I came off stage in my whole run of WCW, it's the only match Eric ever claimed he didn't like. I went back and watched it. I watched it several times, and I thought it was a very good match. I thought we did a couple things that had never been done in a match at the time, and at that time it was pretty hard to come up with something original, and. But that's the only match Eric didn't like, and I still don't know why. But my one, wrathy story that of course I've gotten on him about it before is we were going to do in our match. We were doing a spot where he was going to superplex me off the top, and Terry Taylor wanted us to do that, and Terry goes to the back, and Wrathy says, you know what, I think it'll look a lot better if I climb up, which once again, he always wanted to fly around,
right.
and you catch me and then you superplex me off the top, be the bigger guy that takes the bump. And I was like, yeah, but Terry wants us to do this one. He said, look, man, just trust me, this will work, da, 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 da. He says, and if Terry gets mad, I'll take the heat for it.
Huh.
And I was like, all right, So of course I go and I do it the way he wants to do it. And it looked great. I mean, in the match, I think it looked really good. The crowd popped great for it. But boy, when we came to the back, man, Terry lined us up like a police lineup, like all of us, because Vandy was Kanyon was out there handcuffed to the turnbuckle post, and Vandy was out there too. So Nick Patrick was refereeing, and man, Terry says, he said a couple things, and then he comes right up to us and he says, "Who changed that spot? Who changed that superplex spot? I told you how I wanted it." Da 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 da. So I'm standing there, and I'm kind of waiting for Wrathy to take the heat, and he never does, and finally, I was just like, man, he's not going to do it. So I just kind of stepped forward and I said, Terry, it's my fault.
Wow.
And he just, I'll just never forget him saying, and I felt like a kid being scalded by my dad. He said, Ray, we're friends. He said, but damn it, I'm the booker. You do what I tell you to do. And I was like, so I just quietly stepped back in line, and I was just like, my God, Bryan, what So we got outside, and I was like, why didn't you say something? He goes, what do you mean? I was just like, you said you were going to take the heat for it. And he was just like, wow, man, yeah, and of course, that blew over real quick. I mean, but later on, years later, Terry and I were talking about it, and he told me he knew that I didn't do it. But,
do you think the angles would have worked better with guys who had more of a martial arts background?
The funny thing is that with Kanyon always thought for some reason that I wasn't as well trained as I let on, and I always told him, I was like, Kanyon, do you ever think for a fact that maybe you guys really didn't know a lot of it? Because I had convinced him to take martial arts classes with this one instructor in Atlanta, and then I got this guy who was really good martial artist, who was an actor who did a lot of action film stuff. I got him to come to the power plant, paid out of my pocket to have him come work with us, show us the things that would make it more dramatic and stuff like that. Yeah, I think if Kanyon and Wrathy would have had some years of martial arts experience, I think we could have done some different things. I don't know if it would have been necessarily better. I think we might have been able to do some different things, but
right.
It might have gone differently. I don't know if it necessarily would have been better though.
What are your memories of some of your matches with Mortis?
Nothing but good memories. The guy that in my 21 years now in the wrestling business, I had absolutely the best chemistry with. My hat's off to him. I mean, the guy was a very talented guy, very creative. We clicked. I don't think we ever missed anything. I remember one time in the match when he threw me in the corner, did a spot where I was coming out, and he was running off the rope, and he was doing like a running, kind of leg thing, and his knee hit me in the forehead.
Right. And
as we're in the midair, I just caught his leg and put it in place, and we landed. I mean, we just had that kind of chemistry that I never really had with anybody else. I had some good chemistry with other guys, but. And you know what? And I think what made our relationship so good is that we were both extremely hungry and extremely passionate, and we just, failure was not going to be something that we were going to experience. And we were going to, if it was going to get, squashed, it wasn't going to be because we didn't work hard enough.
Right.
And we were very serious about it. We spent, I remember getting so ticked off. I think it was Meltzer, after the first pay-per-view, uncensored. And he gave it like, I think 3 out of 5 stars or something. And I've never been a big guy that's read the sheets a lot. I mean, it is what it is, but I just have never believed that, I'm the professional. I don't need anybody to tell me what I did. If I need somebody to tell me, I'll get another professional to evaluate me. But reporters are reporters, and so that is what it is. But he gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I remember one thing he was saying. Well, it should have been a good match. They had like 5 months to put it together, and I'm thinking, you know what? I mean, you really don't know how hard we worked to put this match together for these fans and for ourselves, and yeah, maybe we did have a good bit of time to put it together, but then again, we turned around and every other match we had, sometimes we had to call it on the fly, and I think every match we ever had was just as strong as that one. I do agree with him. After the end of my run, I went back and looked at the match, and I thought, yeah, it was about a 3-star match. It was about what it was. It was about where he called it. But at the time I thought it was a 5-star, but
right.
I think everybody thinks that at some point.
What about James Vandenberg? What are some of your memories of James?
Well, as we love to call it, Vandy O' Vandy. One of the most talented individuals, in the wrestling business in the last 20 years. I've never in my entire time around him, ever, WCW, watching him in TNA, whenever, I've never seen him stumble one time over a promo. I mean, he's Mr. One Take.
Right.
And he's very, very good at what he does. I used to get really aggravated with him. And Kanyon used to get really aggravated with him. But because when we would go over things for the match, it didn't seem like he was particularly paying close attention. And we'd be like, Vandy, it's Nitro, pay-per-view, whatever. You got to know where you're supposed to be. I got it. Man, he never missed a mark. I mean, he was everywhere you expected him to be. Always did exactly what he was supposed to do. Sometimes even excelled beyond what we thought he would do. And yeah, I mean, and he lives in Orlando now, so I talk to him pretty regularly. And he's phenomenal talent. I wish someone would realize that and pick him up. Vince or whoever.
What are your memories of Ernest Miller coming into the mix, and did you like him?
Have you guys ever interviewed Ernest yet?
Not somebody else did, so we just didn't. We stepped aside.
Yeah. You know what? Ernest is a hoot, man. He really is. And when he came in, he's pretty much always been that cocky, Ernest Miller, and so we didn't warm up to him right off the bat. It took a little warming up to him. When we got him in the power plant, Pez kind of took a liking to him and started working with him a lot. Mike Winter started working with him a lot, but he picked it up pretty quick. Some things he picked up quick, and certain things he didn't. I remember that Wrath used to make fun of him because whenever we have him sell some kind of move, he'd sell like this. And so and throughout the first part of his career, if you go back and watch any of his matches, that's how he would sell. And Wrath nicknamed it the Swarm of Bees. He caught the Swarm of Bees sell. But the funny thing is, the first time I ever met Ernest was through Eric and Paige. Once again, they just said, Eric said, show up at my place or show up at Paige's place. We're going out tonight. And I was like, okay, where are we going? Don't ask. Okay, so we go, and I'm telling you, Rob, we went to this part of Atlanta, industrial part of Atlanta I had never been to before, nor have I been since. But it was like an airplane hangar, and I mean, I had no idea what the heck I just got myself into. But I figured, okay, well, I'm kind of safe with these guys. And we walk in, and it was an underground fight, and it was $100 a piece to get in, and Eric paid for each one of us, and that's where I met Ernest. He was in there. That's where he was told to meet us. Wow. And it was it was a true underground fight. I'll never forget. They had a big bucket, just a big like horse trough looking thing,
right, with
ice and beer, and that's what you got for the $100. That and to watch the match. And there was very few people. There was maybe 30 people total. And it was one where the guys are good sports, but it was bare knuckle fight till one guy basically can't continue or gives up. And I was thinking, here I am, man, the son of a state trooper. If this thing gets busted, how am I going to explain this?
Right.
But and I don't know if that was some kind of fight club that regularly happened or if that was a one-time deal. Like I said, I didn't ask. I didn't want to know.
Yeah.
But there came a point where Ernest and I were like, we hit it off kind of good. And we're like, hey, you ready to get out of here? Yeah. And so Ernest says, hey, Eric, we're not going to go we have some dinner, get more acquainted. He's like, okay, you guys go ahead. So, that's how but yeah, he and I joked throughout our whole career. We made fun of each other and cut up, and I've really enjoyed getting to know him and being friends with him. He's a good guy, really good guy.
Why was the feud ended so abruptly after Bash of the Beach?
I don't, I wish I could tell you, because I think every wrestler does or should wrestle for that one match you consider your perfect match of your career. And to me, it was that match. I mean, that match went as perfect as I could possibly have hoped for. Nothing went wrong. Everything went right. We got to go on cue exactly when we thought, when we popped the heck out of the crowd. I mean, we really set a great tone for that pay-per-view. And I don't know. That was just that miscommunication in WCW, because Orndorff was our agent for that match. And we came off camera. Orndorff was just saying, you don't see Orndorff get very excited about anything, and he was just like, that's it, you guys nailed it on the head, and because before he was telling me something's missing, and it all clicked that night. And the one thing I could say that might have hurt us is which I guess on YouTube it's kind of like one of the funny things on YouTube as far as me and Kanyon now is the shot of him kicking the chair into my head, and where I'm up against the post there, and Kanyon actually had some guys drive down. He handpicked that chair because it made just the best sound,
right.
And he actually snuck it out there and put it under the ring. And we didn't ask if we could use it. And so he was like, well, we'll just apologize if they. And of course, later in the night, I think Benoit and Sullivan had a chair thing in the finish of their match. So I don't know, Kevin might have got mad at me. I don't know, but I just know that, it just seemed like it was just abruptly stopped, and none of us knew why. None of us were ever given an explanation. All we were told was basically just keep doing what you're doing, and we kept working hard and showing up and doing everything we could, and it just seemed to start kind of sputtering at that point.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.